Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Let's begin by looking at the last 30 days in terms of the percent of normal precipitation. Due to a nearly semi-permanent ridge sitting over Alaska, which is off my map here, we've had this high over low flow pattern look something like this in the west, and that has brought in a lot of precipitation through this section of the country, and before that it really hammered parts of the mid-south. But overall, when we look just over the last month or so, things have been relatively dry across much of the southern region. In fact, some locations, when we look back over the last 60, 90, even 180 days, have been much drier than that, specifically this little corridor in through here. Well, the reason why I start here is because we're about to see some pretty big changes in that, first of all, and second of all, when we think about what we're trying to get accomplished this time of year, rapid planting progress with so many of our crops, cotton, peanuts, corn, soybeans, everything down here in the southern region, we need to know when and where and how much precipitation we're going to get. So let's go right there. We're watching two big systems over the next week. One that's emerging today, Friday, in the central part of the country that's going to go right on off to the north and east. It will be dragging a front through the southern region over the next 48 hours, which will have chances of severe weather on. I'll show you that in a second. But then I'm watching early next week for a short wave, that's a little wave in the flow of the jet stream, to emerge through the four corner states and then progress right here across the south. And it might potentially bring in a lot of rain through this area. You can see here when looking at this map that some locations over the next week, this takes us all the way to next Friday evening, will be picking up anywhere between 1 inch and 3 inches of rainfall here across this part of the southern region. Meanwhile, getting back over towards Texas, things are a little bit drier because that's the location where much of these systems are getting started. But we're going to take a look at timing, amount, and also if there's any severe potential with that. And let's start off with this severe potential. As this low emerges in the Central Plains today, we'll see the main front drag right through parts of Missouri, parts of Kansas, but really getting back into Oklahoma and even into Texas and Arkansas throughout the day. So the Storm Prediction Center is watching this area very carefully for the potential storms. We'll look at the timing of those in just a few minutes. As the system progresses, Saturday's severe weather threat really kind of stretches all the way from parts of eastern Texas through Louisiana, taking a main target here in parts of central Mississippi, where we're expecting a pretty long squall line of thunderstorms. We call these frontal squall lines sliding through there. And then by the time we get into Sunday, that whole system is pushed on off to the south and east. But again, we're going to watch another system emerging here very soon. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, before I show you the timing, I need to show you the pattern because this is what's setting everything up. See the giant ridge sitting here over parts of Alaska? That's been the main culprit. That is what's going to allow this trough and this trough to team up and swing deeply into the south, bringing in some cooler weather. But I need to get rid of this this ridge if I want to see any warmer conditions returning permanently. And watch what the model's suggesting here. Here's the European model, all 51-member ensemble, showing you that trough sliding through, bringing in the cooler weather after this system exits over the weekend. So we're going to certainly start off April cool. But watch this. Here's the next shortwave we're watching Sunday night into Monday emerging into Texas. This one skirts on Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday right through the southern region, and it's going to bring with it a lot of precipitation. Now, normally, if I saw this big trough sitting here south and west of the Hudson Bay taking aim, I'd say, wow, this is going to drop some bitterly cold air in place. But the Pacific jet's kind of coming to the rescue here. You ready? We see the strong Pacific jet stream, see it here, really cranking up in this broad elongated trough, shoving the ridge away from Alaska, allowing this trough to retreat back north. And what does that do? That lets ridging take over across much of the United States, but really over a lot of the southern region. And that kind of, as we progress after the first few days of April, allows us to start to see some warmer conditions really kind of pushing in, at least as we get through mid-April. But remember, once we get through mid-April in the south, bringing in cold weather is kind of relative, right? It's cold compared to average, but it's a warming time of year for us. Okay, so what we want to do is we now want to figure out the timing of this precipitation. So we're going to start off here with our high-resolution NAM model and kind of play this one forward to see when and where these storms are coming through. So I basically got us to Friday evening here. Widely scattered showers and thunderstorms out ahead of this system down here from Tennessee getting into Mississippi and Alabama. But it'll be right here along the main front that we're going to be concerned about some stronger storms this evening. This will be Friday evening, pushing through parts of Oklahoma. See it sweeping through there Friday evening into Saturday morning? Now watch this. As I get through the day on Saturday, a long frontal squall line appears to show up here. This will be a brief but heavy rain, and it'll be bringing in some stronger winds with this as it slides through. So that's our main threat moving through the Mississippi River Valley here by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. And then that system progresses toward the southeast in the overnight hours on Saturday into the early Sunday morning. And then again, it kind of comes over toward the southeast, losing a lot of its strength here, still bringing in some storms, but losing its strength here as the low goes way up into eastern Canada. We've seen that a lot this year. And that's one of the reasons why Georgia, parts of Georgia and South Carolina have been relatively dry when we look back over the last 30, 60, to even 90 days. But system number 2 is taking shape here. Let's go take a look at that by running out our operational European model. So let me get you through what I just showed you. See this? High pressure then builds in behind that front. Colder weather. We'll take a look at that in a second. But we're talking precip now. Monday morning to Monday evening, our next low takes shape right here. And watch this one. For the last 4 days, I've been watching the model be quite consistent with Monday into early Tuesday morning, taking the system right here across the Gulf Coast states and eventually taking it over toward the Carolinas. Now, there'll be some cooler air in place, so this is going to be a cool beginning of next week. So the first 3 days of April, cool, but some very heavy precipitation, and we're going to have to look out for the potential for some strong storms, especially stretching down into Florida. Well, that system progresses through there, and then things calm down toward the end of the week as higher atmospheric pressure kind of takes over. So that kind of gets us through the next week or so, but we will be seeing the next few systems skirt through the middle part of the country, bringing in, again, more chances of precipitation. So it's these next two systems that we really got to keep a close eye on, but I want to tell you this. With the stretching out of the Pacific jet, getting much stronger and more zonal, that means more west to east flow, breaking down that huge ridge over Alaska, letting that trough retreat back up here into parts of really over toward Greenland, we're going to see wetter conditions that not only spread across the west, but look at this. This will also bring us into a quite vigorous pattern for week 2. So we're looking out here at week 2 across parts of the south here. So we're talking Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And then a system that blows up here does progress east with time. So we're looking at week 2 being wetter down there in the southern region as well. But let's talk temperatures here. We're going to look at every 6 hours. We're going to look at differences from normal because that really tells us what the pattern's doing. So look at that. See the big front coming through? Oh yeah, you got some warm conditions out ahead of this system coming through this weekend. But the front slides through and drops temperatures off compared to average. In some locations, it might be 15 to 20 degrees cooler than average. And that cooler weather, look, hangs on for Monday, Tuesday, and into Wednesday of next week. But once that second system gets out, the warmth returns. And the flow pattern, which is strong over the Pacific, is generally a warmer pattern for much of the eastern half of the country, and that certainly includes the southern region. And just to kind of show you some threat here for some frost with this first system, this is what Sunday's minimum temperatures that might hit freezing would look like. So we're keeping much of our freezing weather out of the southern region. And then my only other major concern is going to be Monday's low temperatures. And you can see that we'll bring those below freezing temperatures into the Appalachian Mountains. But we're really going to keep much of the southern region away from the potential for a frost. It'll only be the northern tier of these states that I'm concerned about here. But looking longer term, we're not going to see this pattern right here, which we've had from March, continue into April. And that has been featuring, again, that high over low pattern, cold weather into this area. And the only place that's been slightly warmer than average has been part of the southern region. I'll tell you something. If we really crank up this Pacific jet stream, and we go into a bit of a split flow pattern here over the west, this is not a pattern that keeps things really cold for the southeast. It is a pattern, though, that I think we'll see more normal temperatures and also more volatile weather. But I covered all of that in our long-range weather update, which came out on Wednesday, so go check it out at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. With that, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this southern region forecast video. We hope you look forward to our next one. That'll be coming out on Tuesday morning. In the meantime, hope you all have a great week, and we at Nutrien Ag Solutions thank you for watching. Thank you.